We good? We rolling? Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Ganjaya, and you are here on Hi-Fi, where we are exploring some music and how it is intertwined with the cannabis culture and everything that comes with it. My guest today is the beautiful Marisol Nagash. She is not only one of probably the singularly best R&B artists in Manitoba right now, but somebody who's very close to my heart, and I'm super excited to have her here and showcase a little bit. So, Marisol.
Hello, thanks for having me.
I really appreciate you coming out. So, you know, the title of your music is a solo act is Marisol Nagash, and I was more curious about was there ever a time that you had a name that wasn't like just Marisol Nagash? Was there some other name that you went under, or like the group that you tried to form?
Officially there wasn't, but I'm still in the process of really thinking I might create a moniker. Just because
yeah.
going under my first and last is great, but I feel like there's so much I want to express as an anonymous artist. And even just to release things into the music world where it doesn't have to be tied into whatever idea I feel like my name carries and around my friends or locally, so
How do you
and that,
separate the two of those, though? I mean, like, if your voice is so distinct, like, I know when I keyboard, and I know you're keyboarding, but I mean, like, that's like fan shit. So if somebody, like, sees you, and I mean, if you're not stepping really outside of your box or even altering your voice, people are gonna know it's you. So, you're almost, like, creating just a different facet, like, playing a character. Is that what you're doing?
I think, yeah, it's pretty case by case in the sense that exactly like when people are playing, and now that I'm starting to do work where it might not even be singing, but I'm playing keys for different producers or sending my beats and just literally things I've produced out. I feel like, yeah, people who are paying attention or who are familiar with my work are like, yeah, I know who this is. So it's important. I think I'm just trying to develop and like learn to own it, because as working as a support musician for other people's projects for so long, and it was always being in the back. And so now that I'm really and have begun kind of putting my own project out there in this regard, it's like you just gotta own your name. But I try not to. I feel like the moniker can always change as long as that identity in the music is still there. So if you can still hear that it's me, then that's what I'm really trying to push for.
Okay, yeah, no, I like that. So that brings me to like you just said that this is your first time really stepping out on your own, that you played in background for people. So what was the moment that decided that you were going to step out, like where you're like, instead of having one foot in each world, you were like, both feet are going to be in the world of doing this on my own?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good question. I feel like over time it became clear. I feel like I always kind of toyed with the idea of, oh, do I really want to do this on my own? What does it take to do it on my own? And it was really accidental, like as I'm working with other people, playing keys for their project. And it kind of came to the point where like when I'm working with people and I have my own ideas that I feel like I really want to flesh through, and when I no longer want to compromise, then I kind of went to my own direction and said, hey, I'm going to create what I want, because I'm not getting fulfilled from whatever worlds I'm in right now, whether it's playing for others, whether it's just recording or performing. I started to develop my own ideas that I felt really needed to get out there. And so I didn't have to push myself and like force myself to say, just do it. I just started doing it because that's what felt like needed to be done for me.
Absolutely.
So,
there was a void and you needed to fill it.
Mm-hmm.
And no, that's interesting, because like you could be in, first of all, can you explain what genre that you started off in and how you progressed into like what I guess you would identify yourself as now?
Definitely.
The audience knows it.
Growing up, it's odd because I started really studying classically. So training in classical voice, training in classical piano, and then listening to R&B and pop music growing up all the time. That was always kind of in the periphery of things that like I just loved and gravitated to. And then now, as I've started creating music and started studying different things in terms of jazz harmony and taking lessons and having colleagues who study jazz and just learning from them just by hearing them play, I feel like my music is very much R&B. I get the question a lot though when people hear my music and they even ask me after hearing 3 songs, what kind of music do you make? Even if they've just heard it, because it's such a mix of sometimes classical technique, a hip hop boom bap beat, really beautiful Rhodes chords. So
That's like how you identify, how you separate yourself. Because there's a lot of musicians out there, and maybe that's just it. Like your individual story and how you were trained to your influences created this very specific like concoction that made Marisol Gash. So
that's a great way to put it. It's better than I would have said it. Yeah. Let's go with that. I'm going to quote you.
That's awesome. We got it on record.
Beautiful.
So, with the influences being like of jazz, was there any like, a multitude of things, but can you name maybe like four artists from varying genres that, kind of helped you build the character you are?
Without being genre specific, I can say off top, Stevie Wonder was a big influence for me growing up, and just really, and still is really, Stevie Wonder and Jackson 5, Michael Jackson, the mix of that era of music, and especially Stevie Wonder's songwriting capacity and the way that he composes his music. Just really, really, I'm inspired by that. Amy Winehouse is a late singer that really hit me like in my adolescence because of her songwriting and just because of just the persona, and watching her persona evolve, but always seeing that her music stayed and her voice just stayed innately true to her. So she was one that was really big for me. Strangely enough, composers, like granted I'm classically trained, and most of the music from when I've started studying till now actually has been classical composers. So J.S. Bach, which sounds like such a boring name, and who is Bach? But Bach, like to me, was introduced like from a young age as being a musical genius, a mathematical kind of like renegade, and like just kind of connecting math, emotion, and sound. So that was a big one. And I would say, strangely enough, like groups like Boys to Men and Destiny's Child, thinking that I was like their extra background singer as a child. So like I've been singing with them all my life in my mind, literally. So I would say those four.
You know what? That's powerful because like having a breadth of not only just like knowledge within music, but being able to pull on. That's one of the things personally I really like about Kanye is just being able to pull on everything.
For sure.
And it's a skill unto itself to be a songwriter, a singer, and then also a pianist. Like you have to be all those three things at the exact same time. The songwriting aspect, a lot of the people that you spoke about were their own songwriters. That is very important to be able to write through yourself.
Right.
Can you maybe explain a little bit more? Like I know personally when I'm writing articles, like I get blocked, and there's humps where I can't even get over it. Sometimes I can't even finish an article.
For sure.
So, like, is there anything that maybe you could suggest that has helped you, something to clear your mind in order to push forward or finish a piece?
For the writing aspect, it's funny because I view writing lyrics and writing music as such separate activities for me, because I began writing really poetry like in 6th grade. I was just like that little poet, and it was not really equated as lyrics for a song. It was literally just meant to be a word piece. And so I feel that whole block when you're trying to create, when you're trying to kind of be inspired and put out a project, and whenever I'm in a block, I realize and I equate it to me just kind of feeling like a little bit of chaos in other parts of my life. It's never really the writing that's the problem. It's maybe that maybe I had a really busy month and my mind is just scattered. So like really taking time to be intentional about when I go and create anything. And that's something that's evolved too. Before I was just, kind of writing from a stream of consciousness place, having fun, maybe saying a couple words or two. And now it's like if I'm going to sit down and write something, I'm being really cognizant that this is something that's going to last forever. Now that exactly putting myself out, these things are immortalized on the internet and they will never be taken back once that download click is done. So I try not to psych myself out in that regard, but to say, hey, I have an idea, and like almost starting with the end goal. Like, what is this song about? What is this piece of writing about? And then if what I'm doing in this writing block is kind of blocking me from that, then I can always keep my eye on that end goal, if that answers.
No, totally.
What exactly you're saying.
I think about it from my perspective. I'm very willy-nilly with going in for writing songwriting. When I have something and it strikes me, I will just head to the computer and then half finish it. I'm never intentional with like finishing what I started, and then I have to force myself to get back there,
Mhm.
creating an atmosphere of like negativity around it instead of like creating a sense of like this is something I want to do. I want to create a positive space around creativity, you know, like
Mhm.
instead of so I force nature to a point where I inevitably resent it, and that happens. I'm sure to a lot of people with things that they need to put
All the
practice
time.
to. Like when you're younger, people are like, you have to practice, put effort into it, like you know,
And
like
I
that
remember
kind of
everyone has their own process too, like that whole thing of like going to the computer. I've started like doing lyrics on the computer too versus writing pen,
Yeah.
and splicing ideas from different times, and then you really have it all there. So that
Yes.
just working and being open to creating in new ways and not in this structured regimen can also be really helpful.
So I really like that you tied into the instruments and that like what's in front of you right now. Could you explain, you know, how you ended up with the piano? Do you play anything else? Like, and you know, was the piano the first thing you found? Was your voice the first thing you found?
Oh, I almost want to say they came almost at the same time in the sense that growing up, my favorite toys was like my little keyboard, like the little farm animals on it that had like 6 notes, and that was the one I always wanted to play. But I also loved my little stereo with the microphone and like recording myself. And I would say singing came easier first because I was singing with family, singing at church, even at different events that my family had. They'd have me singing as like when I was very young. So singing came first, but the study part of music, I was studying piano first in terms of like jumping into lessons. Because I was already singing at that point, I wanted to have a skill to accompany myself. So, yeah, they came in different ways, but almost at the same time.
I like that. Okay, so it was meant to be like synonymous. Are you learning any other instruments right now, or?
I've begun playing guitar, and that's something that I play in my set now. I picked that up 2 years ago. And just really transferring a lot of the technique that I know on piano and choosing. And I had a guitar in my room for 3 to 4 years. I never touched it, and it just collected dust. But once I had to find ways to make the music kind of sing in a different way, I decided that it was time to kind of introduce a new instrument. So I'm playing guitar now. I'm making sure to implement different rhythm sequencers in my sets when I'm playing solo sets. So that's really fun as well. Yeah, different rhythms and guitar. Those are kind of the two other things I've been working on.
You know, being well-rounded, I find is very. It's supposed to be the most advantageous way, especially for a POC, a female, to get ahead. Like you have to touch on just about everything so that you can get access to it.
I feel that statement so hard. And I think subconsciously that's exactly why I had to do it, is not being able to communicate exactly what I want or feeling like it's left in someone else's creative hands when I know that I have an idea. I just need to be able to do the idea first, not say the idea.
Yeah.
So it was a curve.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting way of approaching it. You know, I have a really important question. I'm just like, for me personally, I wanted to ask this: like, what are the main themes of the music you're writing right now? And maybe it's too personal. Like, but
No, not at all. I find that it doesn't really stay centered to one narrative other than expression, and it's so vague for me to say that. But what I'm saying is, often my music is just me synthesizing my environment around me and making sense of it. If I feel confused, I will write something sometimes to put me at ease. It might not have any words in it, but I'm like, yo, I need to cool out. Sometimes it's a commissioned thing where if someone's saying, hey, we really want a song like this, would you be able to make me something like really upbeat, really fun? And so that's kind of like the more creative side where I can be imaginative and kind of create a world with music. But it's really just seeing the world through my own lens. And also, I love playing with personification. I love imagining what other people's mindsets are. So music allows me to kind of step into someone else's shoes sometimes and maybe hopefully let people see a bit of themselves as in their face, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So when
yeah, yeah.
when I interact with someone and I really need them to see how they're acting, maybe I'll write a song through their own lens. So it's all up in the air, but it's just me managing and
It's a
understanding
language.
my environment.
It's cathartic, but it's a language. You're speaking to people through music, even if it's just that one moment, that one feeling. like you said, you were writing through yourself. That's cool. I would love to let the fans know, how do they gain access to your music? How do we find this?
My website is marisol.com, so it's MARISOLLE.com. You can search on Apple Music and Spotify for my single, which has come out this past June. I'm on SoundCloud, Instagram. I've got a new handle. My handle is actually Marisol, and you can find me there. Uh, Facebook is a really, really great way to connect with me. I'm always messaging back on my Facebook page, Marisol Nagash. So it's all there, marisol.com.
Okay, amazing. Is there anything you would like to say, everyone?
I'm going to give a big invite to an upcoming show on November 25th. I'm playing at the Goodwill with my friend Rihanna, who's just fresh off her tour. She's just coming back from Europe, and she's finishing it off here in her hometown.
Cool.
She's inviting beautiful contemporary dancers, visual artists, and I'm opening the show with Julian Bradford. And that's November 25th. It's part of the New Sounds Jazz Winnipeg series.
Okay, amazing. So we'll have all the details up on the website. Also, when we post this, you guys will be able to find the information. Marisol's going to play us some music just so you guys get a little taste of what's going on. And then we're going to sign on out. But here, Marisol, if you could take it away for us.
Definitely.
Okay.
So you said, how do I write my music? This was written at a gig. We know when you're freestyling, so I thought...
You know what? That is that's very Ray Charles. Writing the song as you're creating it.
It does happen.
That's cool, that's cool.
Sunny outside, raining outside. It's raining outside, but I don't mind, 'cause I keep it alright. I'll keep it. I keep myself right all the time, ain't no shy, and I don't mind. 'Cause you don't know till you really go. You don't know until you really know, and then you say so. You don't know until you really go, really go. Whoa, whoa. Sunny outside. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank
That
you.
was amazing. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. You can find this online at CanadianChronicle.com. We are here at the Cannabis Hemp Expo, and we are so excited to have spent time with the great artists and local artists. So again, you can find all the information. And yeah, this is High Five with Ganjaya. Cheers, guys.